Hello, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. Today, I titled this message, When a Grandparent Says They're Sorry. Wow. When a grandparent says they're sorry. I know that there are some parents that are upset concerning their sons and daughters about all of the foolishness that they have said and done, upset you, embarrassed you. I know that there are the grandparents who have even went so far as to wish evil upon their grandchildren for all of the mess that they've caused. Okay? And that is a message for another day. But today's message is about when the parents or the grandparents says that they're sorry. And sometimes they slip back into their old ways. But what we need to hold on to is they apologize. They didn't have to do it. Maybe they didn't initially want to, but they realized that all of what they may have said or done to you caused a rift in the relationship. And so they come and they say, I apologize. One of the relatives who did this sort of thing was a grandparent, more specifically my grandmother. There were times when she would say or do something and she realized the effects, and she would come and she would say, I'm sorry. I don't know what come over me. I don't know why I did what I did. And sometimes she was accused of not being genuine when she would say these sorts of things to others, because she would turn around and do something else that would upset someone. But I knew that when she apologized to me, that it was genuine, that it was sincere, that it was from the depths of her soul. I don't know at the time, being young, how I just knew, but I knew. As I got older, I realized it was nothing but God. Yes, there was a time where I had to create distance from her because I recognized that some of what she was saying and doing was divisive. I didn't want to be caught in the he say, she say. I didn't want to be so guarded about every little thing I confided in her about. And so I wanted that space from her. Because when you start to feel like you're very guarded with the person, there's good reason. That's your instinct letting you know that something's not right. And when I came back around to talk to her, she was a bit cold, quite naturally so, because you go from talking to somebody every day to talking to somebody every other day to talking to them a few times a month to not talking to them at all. And I had given her some information leading up to the distance, but some people refuse. They refuse to listen to you, or you don't know what you're talking about. And so they create their little distance, but then they come back around and want to talk to you. And for a year, I didn't want any type of conversation with her. Because you see, you start to get tired of some people and some things and trying to figure out who said what and why would you say and all of that. And there came a point where, once again, she had apologized. And we continued to talk all the way up until death. Not as much as we once did. We weren't as close as we had been because I saw some things. But I was grateful to have that time with her. Some of you all, when a parent or grandparent apologizes, you don't feel like it's sincere. And you don't feel like it's sincere because they continue to say and continue to do things, whether to your face or behind your back, that are offensive. So when you are in a position like that, you have no choice but to safeguard yourself. And I get it and I understand. And that's why I'm not that one that says, oh, you should forgive, you should forget, and you should choose the higher road, and you should do this, and you should do that. Because at the end of the day, I haven't walked in that person's shoes, and I don't know how bad that pain feels, and I don't want to experience that type of pain, right? Some of you all, I'm not saying nothing. I'm not advising nobody on anything concerning talking to their broke, busted, and disgusted relatives or whatever else. Because I haven't walked in their shoes. You see? And so some people are not going to advise you on anything like that. I'm not getting mixed up with that. That's family stuff, you see. But when you go to the one true God, God will direct your steps. He'll order your feet. He will put you in the right place at the right time. If it is meant for you to be connected to that family member or friend, and the apology is the open door for it, then things usually go smoothly. But if it is not meant, it is a bumpy, rocky, turbulent road, and sometimes it's even worse now that you're back to talking to each other than it was before, because you get hurt again and again, and your mind, your brain, your spirit can only take but so much. I can't take this. I'm getting headaches every day behind this foolishness. I thought we were good. I really, really thought this time she was going to act right. I really thought this time that he was going to be a decent human being, but it's not in him. It's just not in him. And so there's the freedom that comes. And for you, it's peace when you recognize it and you're not dragging the baggage, helping them put that baggage on the truck, so to speak, moving that baggage across state lines. You've distanced yourself. You've removed yourself from the dramas and the traumas. But for the one, though, who's the genuine spirit, going back, like the way my grandmother was about her apology, that type of person is somebody that God is moving on them toward change, not just in making things right with you, but making things right all across the board. You just see them winning. You don't see them losing anymore. They're not the failure. They're not even that person that you once knew. You can see the fruit on their tree is ripe. It's not spoiled. You don't mind being in their presence. Sure, there's some residue. Sure, there are some things that kind of rub you the wrong way, but they're a work in progress, and it's nothing like it used to be. Those are the people that it's okay. It's all right. You don't have to be so guarded because God got them. But those individuals who God don't have and the demons still got them, they will smile in your face and talk behind your back. They will strategically come up with ways to take what you got. They will once again tell a lie, once again threaten abuse or actually physically abuse. They will put other people up to doing their bidding. The jealousy will show up in their eyes. When they show up in an atmosphere, it feels as if the energy is being pulled out of the atmosphere. You feel drained emotionally, physically. Some of you all spiritually, others financially. I'm so done with this thing. You know that apology wasn't sincere. You see. And it hurts more so because it's the parent or the grandparent. These are the people that we're supposed to learn from, right? They're supposed to be the mentors. These are also the same people that will take scriptures out the Bible and expect you to adhere to them, even though they're not Christians. Okay? Don't go and throw scripture up to me about what I should do when you know that you don't even follow the precepts that are in the Bible, relative. Come on. Because sometimes there's the flying monkeys that are around them that are saying, you should, that's your mother, that's your father. You should, that's your grandmother, that's your grandfather. I had it. I had that sort of conversation with some folks during that time when my grandmother and I wasn't speaking. They used a couple or somebody put a couple of the cousins up to wanting to talk to me around that time, talking about how come you don't talk to your grandmother. I didn't know that I was supposed to be chit-chatting with you about my personal business concerning my grandmother. Now, if you called to talk to me and ask me how I'm doing. And you know, I got 4 kids. Okay. I got a husband and an ex-husband. I got business. I got all these things that's going on in my life. You can't talk to me about the things that you know about, but yet you want to be all up in my business concerning my grandmother. First up, you're not going to get that conversation, you see. And at that time, I wasn't rude about it, but I did be a bit firm about it. I redirected the conversation. And then as I redirected the conversation, I knew that they were carrying information back. You see, that's why I redirected the conversation. And I made sure that, yes, there was a little bass, a little attitude to my voice, because I wanted it to be directed to whoever sent them, that I didn't appreciate them calling me up with any type of foolishness. Then when the no contact took place between my mother and I, there were those who thought they could put their mouth on that situation as well. That's not up for discussion either, you see. And so, God rest her soul, she's gone now. But I have no regrets about my decision. Because you see, for some people, and as I've said this in other audio, you can only take but so much. The opportunities are there for the parents and the grandparents to apologize. We always talk about these young people coming to us and apologizing. You know you were disrespectful. You know you didn't have no business saying this. You know, you've been doing that ever since they was little. There comes a point, though, when a parent or a grandparent is not in the right. But after all of what they did to me, there comes a point where the grandparent or the parent is not in the right. I know, right? That hurts. Oh, that's stepping on my toes. Yeah, because you see, there were things that led up to the disrespect. There was things that led up to that child saying something that you didn't deem was appropriate. There were things that the child, son or daughter, adult now, got sick and tired of. You can only be sassy for so long, mama, before you got to stop with being so sassy. There's only so much that a child's going to take from a argumentative father or angry grandfather. There's only so much that a grandchild is going to put up with when a grandparent, all they ever do is bark orders, bark orders. You're not even saying it nicely. Do this, do that. What, at some point, you think that that child's not going to rise up? You think that child's not going to say something that's out of line? Well, I'll smack her, you know what, down. Yes, and that is why the relationships look the way they do, too. Because no one is going to keep being around angry, rude, arrogant, disrespectful, I'm better than everybody else type of folk. Okay? It doesn't matter what the title is. People get tired of dealing with that foolishness at their workplace, dealing with the foolishness among their friends. Now I go over to see the parent or the grandparent, and it's eye rolls and it's deep sighs and it's attitudes and there's the silent treatment. And I don't feel like talking to you because back in the day when you was 13 years old, when you was 18, when you was 20 something, you gave me all this grief. Meanwhile, nobody gets to the root cause as to why that child gave so much grief. Excuse me, but you know, some folks was dating all sorts of people back in the day. I'm putting some business out in the street. She was with Peter and Tom and Bobby and everything else. And that child saw that. And she doesn't feel like she owes her daughter or her son an apology for bringing all those men around. Or the man who he was with Sally and Kendra and TT and, and Paula. He was with all these different women, and he don't feel like he needs to apologize to his son or daughter or grandchild about all of these women he kept bringing around. You see? I mean, we could talk about those that lied, the parents that lied, that used their children's name to turn on utilities, use their name to open up credit cards. Then they didn't pay. And now the child comes along and is now an adult and has these bills. And there's never an apology. There's never even a check cut. I took care of you. I don't need to pay you anything, but you used my name. That's all I had. You see? You got some who they were so busy talking about everything that was wrong. Everything that was wrong with the grandchild or with the child. Went to this relative and that one, saying all sorts of foul things and never will come and say, I apologize. Those that made false promises, sold us on a bag of goods. I could put my hand up on this one. Oh, I'm going to give you this. I'm going to give you that. Never did apologize about not making good on one's promises. Well, the prerequisites were you were supposed to do this for me and that for me. And you kept dangling that carrot and making it higher and higher and higher because your intention was never to give. But there's no apology coming. For some, the apology will never show up. You know why? Because like in my case, folks are 6 feet deep in their grave. But that's okay. There's a God that they're going to have to face just like one day I got to face. And they can come up with all of their excuses and their rhymes and their reasons and whatever else. You see, while you still got breath in your body, you can make wrongs right on this side. There are those who went out and reached or made contact, I should say, went out, made contact and got the door slammed on their faces. Whether it was the parent, the grandparent, or maybe even the daughter or son or grandson or granddaughter. I don't want to hear from you. What you coming around here for? Well, at least you made the effort. See, you could avoid some of that if you just go to the one true God. If you know that whatever it was pretty bad, or maybe you don't know, and the opportunity comes and you can apologize and that person doesn't accept your apology, at least you made the effort. But I would just go to the one true God, though. I would just say, Lord Jesus, before I even write a letter, before I even pay money to fly, before I even go through a third party even, is this going to be a situation of resolve? Or is this going to end up being a situation where I'm going to have even more that I'm going to have to deal with? More that I'm going to have to heal from? Because some people, they are so genuine and they really want to apologize. And they will jump through hoops to get an apology. And then, or to give an apology. And then be turned away and then end up on drugs, alcohol, and doing all sorts of ridiculous things. Once again, get God involved, because not everybody is going to receive what you have to offer. When I got God involved, God told me, he said, the apology isn't going to come from you. I said, okay. He said, the apology is due to come from them, but they got X amount of time to do it because their days are numbered. We got some folks that are still above ground, and the apology isn't going to come from me. And God is moving on these men and women to do us right, and they refuse. So there won't be any peace on the other side. See, sometimes people wonder why there's still ghosts. I mean, you go to some of these homes, you go to some of these public places, go to hotel rooms, go to churches, and there's these ghosts, okay? It's not made up. This is real. There's the noises, there's the banging on the wall, there's the going up and down stairs, there's the cold feeling. When you feel those things, those are spirits that are in unrest. That's why you'll get some people that'll come in an atmosphere who are prayer warriors and just wish that spirit to rest in peace in Jesus' mighty name. They'll go through the blessings of the house, and sometimes they will be removed quite easily. Other times they won't. You'll get those on the dark side that'll come in with their false light, and temporarily the spirit goes away, but then it shows up with more spirits, right? The demons. They leave out and then they bring in some more legions of demons. I mean, if you don't do it the right way, that's what happens. And a lot of those spirits that are in unrest because they didn't take care of business on this side. God convicted them to make sure that they made the phone calls, or they wrote the letters, or they got the third party to help out, or they were supposed to get on planes or trains or buses. And they didn't do any of those things. And so they are just in a space where they're just walking it and walking it and walking it. While others rest in peace is just what they're doing. They're resting in peace. You see, you got those who use all sorts of witches and warlocks and mediums and spiritists and so forth to channel up their deceased relatives, only to get a word that is quite disturbing. And sometimes those mediums and spiritists are not honest and don't tell you exactly what was said, because they figure, wait a minute, that must be a demon, or that must be something crazy that I done brought up. So I'll just say that, well, your mother, your father, or your grandmother, or your grandfather, they wished you well and they want what's best for you and to take care of the kids. No, a lot of times those spirits are whispering, and some of these people who dibble and dabble, they know that I'm speaking the truth. They're saying some ugly, dark, disturbing things, some things that'll set those people back emotionally, mentally, might even drive them to suicide. And so the spiritist, the medium, the channeler, whoever, they feel bad. And so they don't want blood on their hands. So they don't tell the truth. But yeah, there are those who know they did not exit peacefully, and they don't like to be disturbed. And so they might even have their share of demonic entities tied to their spirit that follows you home and ruffles up your household. You should have never messed around. Let the dead stay buried, okay? And even let the dead bury the dead. Because there are those who are dead in Christ. They're dead to the Lord because they refuse to do what is right even now. And God continues to give them breath in their body, and he continues to give them chance after chance after chance, and their stubborn ways and their pride is what keeps them from doing what is right. So sorry is definitely a word that is in some people's spirits. Apology, apologize, forgiveness. These are words that turn the stomach of some individuals, because they know that's what they were supposed to have done. While they're projecting their issues onto other people, they know that they were supposed to settle the score or get things right, and they chose not to. And so we just hand all of that over to the one true God. There are just too many things that the Lord wants us to do to be wrapped up in whether you get an apology or not. Okay? There's just way too much. And so I don't suggest that you be that one that life would just be so much better for me if my father or my mother or my grandmother or my grandfather would just apologize. Or maybe I should contact a medium or someone. And maybe with that seance, maybe they'll be able to come through, and then I'll get the apology and everything will be okay. No, it won't be okay. Because one, you're doing something that goes against what the Lord wants us believers to do. And that is that we are not supposed to be messing around with ghosts and spirits and calling people out, from the darkness or out of the graves or anything else to get a word. Remember, the demonic will play a game or two on you. And not only that, will petition the Lord to do some things to you as a result of your disobedience. Look, see, she's disobedient, so-called Christian. So what do you want me to do? And the Lord will release the demonic to go ahead and torment or to disturb, because God is not going to be that God who is wishy-washy, okay? When he says, as believers, I'm talking about genuine believers, not these people who are wishy-washy of the faith. Genuine believers, when he tells you not to get involved with the occult, you're not supposed to do that. But I know that the apology means a lot to some people, but it's better that you go to the one true God and seek the peace that he has for you in Jesus' name. Well, blessings to you. Please do check the description box for anything that might be of interest. You've been listening to YouTube Interim Enterprise 7. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment. If you feel so moved to give, we do accept giving on this channel. Blessings to you.